Welcome back, my name's Andrew. In this video, I'm going to be going over tutorials. Hi guys, my name is Andrew Reynolds, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm an artist located north of Boston in Massachusetts. Welcome back. I wanted to make this video because after getting so many inquiries from TikTok and Instagram and even Snapchat, I realized I should make a more general overview on how to draw. Before we get started, I do have to remind you that these proportions and techniques that I'm going to show you that I've learned over the past few years don't always apply to everything that you're drawing. So if you're drawing from reference, it's going to be different. If you're drawing out of your mind, you can use these techniques and they will be more applicable to that drawing. Every person looks different. There are certain techniques that help you along the way. That's pretty much it. So without getting too complicated, let's dive into the first tutorial. The face. Now, if you can't get these proportions right the first time, I promise you that if you keep practicing and practicing, they will come to you eventually, and it'll be almost like third nature kind of thing. Don't get frustrated, have patience, and if you need a break, take one. I promise you it will help. So before we even get a start on drawing, we need the right pencils. I recommend something with a wide range, something from 4H to all the way up to even 12 or 14B. This range will give you the lights and sharpnesses and the depths and the dullnesses that you really are looking for in a realistic drawing. There's something called the rule of thirds that all artists that draw realistic faces use to create a realistic look and proportionality to a face. And without this, it's going to look off. The rule of thirds is this. On the front of the face, there's that rule of thirds, which is the hairline. I'm wearing a hat, not taking it off. The hairline to the top of the eyebrows to the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin should be fairly equal sections. That's 1, 2, 3 thirds, okay? And there is a second rule of thirds on the face, and that is actually the eyes. So if you take the distance from the very crease or tear duct of your eye to the very edge of your eye, this way, and put that right in the middle of your face, that should be the same distance between tear duct and tear duct, okay? So that's what makes the rule of thirds for the eyes. 1, 2, 3. I'll show you. Okay, so we were just talking about the rule of thirds and how we need to apply that to the face or else the proportions won't look right. So the important thing to know is that we only can use the rule of thirds for the face if it's front on. So if the face isn't angled up or down or bottom left, bottom right, bottom, top left, top right, and angled other than the very front facing neutral position, okay? So in order to break down the rule of thirds, it's really easy. All you gotta do is draw 3 equal sections. And I'll draw it right here. Want to make sure you can see those lines. There we go. So that's 1/3 right here. And I'm just going to bring this down and copy that to make 2/3 and bring it down again to make 3/3. Now what you need to do in order to make the whole head is to add about half of 1/3 on top of the very top third. Which is about that distance, and that will be the very top of the head. Now I'm going to start a little chart on this side here, labeling the levels. So this is the top of the head, top of head. This layer is the forehead or hairline. This is going to be the eyebrows / eyes, depending on expression. And then bottom of the nose, I'll just say nose, and then chin. Okay? So I'm going to draw a midline. because it's important to have symmetry in a face. If you don't, in a neutral face, it's just not right. We don't have naturally significantly unsymmetrical faces. I know some people's faces do tend to be maybe bigger on one side, smaller on the other side, or their cheek might be bigger or smaller. It depends. Everyone is different, like always, and that is okay. But drawing them, the general idea, they have to be semi-symmetrical for the most part. So this is the rule of thirds. We broke this face up into 3 sections: forehead, eyebrow, nose, and chin. And now we need to think about what we're going to draw in those thirds. So we need to start with a framework that's so basic that you can really make a mistake after that and then fix it. So what I'm going to do is draw in the skull. And this is also a leading factor in how the shape of your overall head is going to end up. So the skull usually, the base of the skull where it connects to our neck, usually lies on this third under the nose. So I'm going to start this circle, this semi-oval circle, at that line and connect it to the very top of the head. Okay, so it's semi-oval, but it is mainly like a circle, and this can be adjusted once we get into the chin, and the width of the face is also different for everyone, but that's the general outline, okay? Now, I'm going to draw the eyes. And there's another rule of thirds for the eyes. So there's a rule of thirds that we just talked about, and the rule of thirds for the eyes is that one length of one eye is equal to the distance between one crease or tear duct and tear duct, and then obviously the same distance between the eye, the crease itself, and the other eye. So I'm just going to make a mark representing each tear duct, where that tear duct is going to lie, and then that distance right here is going to be brought over. I'm going to make a mark here, and that will be one eye, and then I'm also going to just do the same thing for the other side, and that will be 2 eyes. And this is going to be 1 section, 2 section, 3 section, the third for the eyes, okay? Rule of thirds for the eyes. I'm just going to draw a socket. So following this this third line, I'm going to go just above that, and now I'm going to go just above half, just higher than halfway on this section, and make almost like a sunglass shape, very narrow sunglass, and kind of pointy towards the outer side of the face. And I'm just going to copy that over on the other side here. And these were going to be the eye sockets. And the reason why I'm breaking this all down is because it's really important to understand the underlying structures of the skull and know its importance and how things are going to turn out in the end, okay? So this is why I'm breaking it down for you now. So if you don't want to watch this part and you want to get to the each individual tutorial, you can skip ahead. I don't mind. It's better for your entertainment and learning anyways. If you already know this part 2, then you can do that. But this will be the general shape for the sockets, okay? Now I'm going to go into the nose. So another tip is also, I started with the eyes and I'm going to go into the nose because you want to work from the inner part of the face outwards, because a lot of people, once they have the outer shape, if they start with the outer shape of the face, then the sizing for the inner parts, the nose, the eyes, the lips, can be off. And we have a natural instinct. It improves as we age, obviously, about proportions. So if we can look at a face and realize those eyes are big, then those eyes are big, and we need to make them smaller. If that nose is too big, then it's gonna have to get smaller. But we can't really do that if we start with the face. It's harder to work backwards rather than be progressive and just start off with the eyes and then work around it, okay? So let's do that. We got the eyes down. Now I'm going to take about a third of this section, half of the third over here. I'm going to draw this line. About a third of this section, and that will be the top where the holes for our nostrils begin, okay? So this isn't the cartilage with our protrusion, the nose that we normally have. This is the actual hole in the bone structure of our skull. And I'm going to make a little teardrop shape. It's not important that we draw every detail, it's just important that we draw the details so we get the overall shape. And now this is our nose line for the third, so I'm going to draw that right above here. And obviously we have a septum that separates our two nostrils. That's not important to draw. We're just getting the underlying shapes right now. And if we take half the distance of each socket and draw this down to this third, that will be where our upper jaw, our upper teeth, row of teeth end in our face. So each row of teeth is shaped like a horseshoe, right? But in this appearance, this angle that we're looking at it, it's all flat. It's all the same thing. But if we were to tilt this skull, right, in this drawing this way, then you would see the horseshoe structure. So I'm talking about the edge of the row of teeth ending right here, okay? You understand? And half of right here, this nostril, this section, so again, half of this third is going to be where this cheekbone is going to start to leave the face, leave the bone structure of this upper row of teeth, okay? And I'm just going to bring this out just maybe a third of the eye. Same thing over here. I'm going to bring this out just around here, maybe a little more, and make a a cheekbone. This is called the zygomatic bone for you anatomy people. And this leads into your temporal bone, and that is above, it's your temples. If you have a headache, you can rub your temples and it will help sometimes. That's what they say, at least. And on a lot of people, you can actually see the ridge where this bone is kind of prominent and it's thickest on the skull. So I'm just going to draw that in. Just rough shapes for now. I'm going to draw the top of the eyebrows, the ridges. And now, from that circle that we started off with, I'm going to continue that. And I'm also, it's almost like continuing this sunglass shaped eye socket, all the way out, but I'm just skipping over this portion so we don't confuse our lines here. And then I'm just going to make this a little bit more clear. I'm going to do the same thing. So it's almost as if we continued this socket line over on the side of the skull, so we have that nice curvature, and that's where our brain sits, obviously. So we have the upper part of the skull done, and this is where our teeth would be, roughly. It's not important, but this is just so you can understand facial features, okay? So now we have the bottom of the chin, and the thing about the chin is a lot of people have developed chins, right? So there's not a lot of, what's the word? There isn't a large portion of bone that's divided, and we call that a butt chin, because the skin in between that is just as thick, but it's just shallow because the bones underneath have that groove in it, and that is caused from almost a lack of like a bond almost. So it's called an underdevelopment in some people, but that's what butt chins are. They're just undeveloped jaws, pretty much, in that section. So just a rough shape. I'm going to bring this jawline down straight until halfway, and then right around there I'm going to curve it right towards that center point, and that is going to be our jawline for the most part. And then again, the bottom row of teeth are going to end around halfway and come up, but that's not important unless if you're drawing a skull. Then you can follow these step by step, these instructions step by step. So I'm just drawing in the teeth, and that's important if the person is smiling. you want to get the teeth detail, because if someone smiles and they don't have teeth, then they need to see a dentist. Bad joke, but it's true. I'm just making it clear. So we have the eye sockets, we have the nostrils down, we have the jawline, and pretty much the underlying structure of a skull and a face. Now what we want to do is erase the lines that we don't see and we really don't need for reference going forward. So we still need the forehead. So I'm going to keep that line. Lost my eraser here. Here we go. I'll just use this. So we need the forehead and the hairline, but I am going to erase this midline. A little bit of the nostrils, the upper part of the nostrils. I'm going to keep this lower part because that is important. I'm going to erase the cheekbones. And all of the teeth except the midline I forgot to draw in. So I'm going to keep that line. That will be roughly where our lips will meet. Upper lip and bottom lip will meet later on. Okay, so I'm going to keep some of these structures. Now the eye sockets are strange because they make things so easy. All I'm going to do is draw a circle in each eye, and it can overlap this corner, which they naturally do. There is a little bit of a protection edge. And that will be our eyeball, okay? And now we still have those midlines from the sockets, so I'm just going to use that as the center line, vertical line for each iris, okay? And I'm going to try to make them the same size because we have good sized irises, they're the same size. And I'm going to draw my pupils right on that midline, trying to make them the same size. Now we have eyeballs, but we have to define them more, obviously, with eyelids. So we have this line that I faintly see still, and that is the crease of the eye. And now I just want to draw this tear duct. So I'm going to use a sweeping motion that starts off as a concave shape and then levels off near the top and kind of pinches up and back down over here. Make sure for most people that this tear duct, this side of the tear duct, the inner crease of the eyes, are lower than the outer crease on the outside of the face. That's just because that's what happens for most people, so it will look a little weird if you do it otherwise. But now we have a basic shape on this eye. I'm just going to copy this over on this side, again using that sweeping motion to create that tear duct and that almost depth to the eyeball, as if we're actually layering a piece of skin over an eyeball, a round surface. And again, I'm checking to see that this crease is higher than this one, which it is. So I'm gonna keep that there and then copy this over. And near the tear duct, they actually pretty much level off right at that crease where it meets the tear duct. Eyeball meets the tear duct and then makes that little swoop. Okay, so these are rough shapes of an eyeball. I'm just gonna make them a little more even. I'm gonna define this a little bit more because it was a little high. And now we have eyelids. I'm going to follow this circle that we had drawn in, and this was the eyeball, to make a top eyelid. I'm just going to try to follow this line that we drew before. I'm going to crease in a little bit here, then bulge out, and then crease back in over here. Now we have top lids. And if you want to draw bottom lids, all you have to do is kind of follow this line again and fade it out. Don't always go straight back like this upper lid crease, just go kind of out and it will make that realistic look. Okay, so we have that drawn. Now I'm going to go and erase the lines we don't need anymore. And that is everything around that eyelid and those extra lines from the sockets that we had drawn in and eyeball that we had drawn in.
Now we can go back and make sure that these lines are fairly symmetrical. Proportions aren't really important at this time. All we need to do is judge if they're symmetrical or not, and I'm happy with that. So for a perfect face, we can also use one of these thirds, an eyeball's width, and bring it down the face here, and that will be the width of a nose. So I'm just going to draw that in, and we still have this third line over here, but I want to keep the shape of the nose a little bit high to that line. So the way that our noses work on the side profile is they come up, and this will be a forehead over here, and then they have this protrusion, and this is where the highlight hits from the sun, I'll say this. But they come down. A lot of noses are soft angled like this. Some people do have sharper angles, and then they have upper lip, but most of them come down like this at a soft angle. So we need to portray this, drawing the circle high to that line, that reference third, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna draw that circle, and it can take up most of that space, which is absolutely fine. And then I'm gonna draw 2 circles on the side of that, and these will be our nostril flares. Now I'm going to draw little sweeping motions like this, okay? And then same on the other side, going right through those 3 circles. And at the ends, we can actually connect them to the flares just a little bit, so we get some depth in there. And then we just continue it towards this crease, just at a certain point where it looks natural, okay? Towards the other opposite eye's crease, the tear duct. And same thing for the other side, gonna bring it up and towards the other eye's crease. So it's almost like if we continue this line, there would be an X here somewhere, right in the center of the nose. But we're not gonna do that, obviously, because there's no X on our faces. Now I'm gonna just erase these lines so we can see what we're looking at. And we should have a nose. Some people, they have prominent nose ridges, so I'm just going to draw this in so we can understand those shapes. This is all pretty rough for now. Erase that line. Erase this little circle here. At the bottom of the nose, we can draw this in, this little dip in the skin under here that connects to our upper lip. It's just a little U, a very level U. Okay, now we can move on to the lips. So this is roughly where the lips meet. I'm just going to draw a circle on the top, an oval on the bottom. This will be our bottom lower lip, and then another 2 circles on the side. So almost like a flattened out Mickey Mouse with a ball on his head, almost like that. And if I continue this line, jumping to another thing, if I continue this line from the pupil down the cheek as vertically as I can, same side, same on each side, this is roughly the maximum distance outwards that the crease of the mouth is going to lie on, okay? So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller than that. And I'm going to use this kind of motion for the lip. On this side, you see how I brought it up and then out, and then on this side I brought it up this way and then out this way. Just create that curve. And I'm going to stop it short from that line because I feel like doing that. And in a expressionless face, these lips are going to be neutral. So I'm just going to draw those that sharp ridge in the middle here that we have, most of us have, follow this curvature of that ball that we drew, and then just try to connect it at the very edge over here where the very crease of that lip is on both sides. Try to make them as symmetrical as possible. Okay, and I'm just going to draw a very flat U again, following that line that we had from that very first top circle here. We just have that bulge on our lip. I'm not sure why anatomically, but we do. And same thing for the bottom lip. I'm gonna actually make this oval a little bit bigger. And what you wanna do for the bottom lip is stop it short. See how this one stopped short from this one? This one went a little bit outwards and this one is stopping short. Same thing over here, okay? That's the average face, average lip, set of lips. I don't know why they do that, but that's how we're made. Okay, I'm gonna erase these lines, don't need them anymore. I'm gonna draw in this little crease. Okay, just redefine those a little bit. Now we have the main structures of the face. So like I was talking about before, if we're looking at a face and realizing that these structures are large, I can tell that these eyes are a little bit larger. So I'm gonna actually go back in and just take in the sides, the outer sides, and make them a little bit smaller and angle the outer edge of that eye a little bit more. And that will bring the sides down and make it a little bit more proportional. But remember, if we still measure that distance, right, I'm gonna say it lies right around here. If we measure that from crease to crease, look, it's still the same. So this must have changed and I had made the eyes wider than they should have been. So my mistake, but you do understand that, I hope. I hope you caught on to that. So now we're here, and now what I was talking about, working from the inside of the face outwards, you have a good basis, or like a good base understanding of where you need to go from here, other than working against yourself and backwards. So we still have these lines from the cheekbone. I'm just gonna continue that, but I'm gonna make a concave shape here from this cheekbone on each side. So I'm gonna go in like this. And now I'm gonna erase those lines. Gonna need another eraser soon. And this is starting to look like a girl to me because of the soft chin and the semi-larger lips. Now we need to draw the eyebrows. Okay, so roughly eyebrows can be placed anywhere on the head, on the forehead I mean, but they do end up stopping right around the tear duct if you were to continue those up. A natural looking brow, at least if you're getting your brows done, will stop right around there. And they also stop right around half point of the crease of the eye to the outside of the face, outermost part of the temporal bone / zygomatic bone. And if you want to draw your person with caterpillar eyebrows, then go right ahead. But if you want to be conservative, then draw them a little smaller. And they should extend no further than the top horizontal line of this eyelid crease for that natural look. I'm just going to try to copy this. And you see my motions that I'm working outwards for this area of the eyebrow. And then I can go back in with a motion like this, diagonal to the face in the opposite way. That's just how eyebrows, the hair on the eyebrows fall naturally. That's the shape that they follow. And they tend to be thickest towards the center of the face and then thin out as they go. And I'm just going to do the same thing using the diagonal motion over here. Try to make this more defined and symmetrical. And there we have it. General shape, the face. I'm going to make these cheeks a little bit softer. They're a little too Slavic for me. I'm Russian. I know what prominent cheekbones look like. Oh boy. Okay, so this is a general look. These eyes are a little intimidating, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna make those smaller even more. He looks like he's seen some stuff. She looks like she's seen some stuff. This is a neutral position. Now, if we were to continue the crease of the eye outwards, or even on some people, the bottom of the eyebrow, this is where the top of the ear is going to end. And then right around the center of the nose, if we brought that out, this is where the bottom of the ear, or the earlobe, is. I'm just using like a kind of a hook shape for the ears. Again, in later videos, I will be going into like more complex detail about each structure on the face and then structures on the body. But this is a general shape for a face. I'm just going to draw those in real quick just so we have some substance. Erase the cheeks, cheek lines here, these lines here, we don't need them. I'm just going to feather in this hairline, just again so we have some substance. Sideburns, hairline. We have the top of the head here. Might make this a little bit bigger. My original circle was a little small and I felt that going in here. So the skull is a little bit bigger. So if I still have this line from the nose and the very top of the head, if we were to cut that distance in half, typically the top crease of the eyelids, that's where that meets. So like I was just explaining, we took that circle that I drew originally, and if I split that in half, then that's where this line would meet. That would be the top of the eyebrows. I'm sorry, eyelids. And then, what's another proportion I could tell you? Really, that's it. That's really it. And then we can make our neck as thick or as thin as we need to. This is looking like a thinner person. It has a little bit of a longer face. If you want to make a larger head, like a more of a oval shaped face other than a rectangle face, you just want to make this wider. And that's really easy to do. All you need to do is erase these sides here, which are the easiest thing to do, and just make them wider. Because these aren't a substantial thing to do over versus the whole chin line and everything. That is easily redone. But I think that's it. So I want to break down, just before we end this video, the things that I talked about during this drawing. Number one was the rule of thirds. And number two was the size of the skull / importance of underlying features. Importance. I'm talking while I'm writing, never too good. Importance of underlying features. Underlying structures, I'll say. And then 2, 3. Sizing for eyes and nose, working outwards. Number 4, I think we went into cheeks and then the upper jaw, upper row of teeth. So I'll say lower skull, or jaws / lower skull. 5, I did lips, I believe. No, 5, I did eyes. Anyway, I'll just say features because I did them in order. And really, anyway, after you have those structures done, the sockets for the eyes and the nose placed, then you can judge off of that. And you don't have to go in any specific order drawing those features. And then 6, was just erase. I'll say just erase. Okay? And then 7 is finalize outline.
And there you have it, guys. I really hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial so far. If you have, please don't forget to leave a thumbs up. That would really help me out. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, please don't forget to ring that little bell in the corner to subscribe to my channel. Until next time, thank you for watching. Bye.